It's very nice to be back in Warsaw for another tvday conference, and what a brilliant conference it's been so far. I'm going to be talking to you about some research we did where we took away people's favorite brands and then watched what happened as a result. But before I get into that, just a bit of background about why we did the research. This is some work by Les Binet and Peter Field, a study called Marketing Effectiveness in the Digital Era. What the study showed was that overall marketing effectiveness is in decline and has been since 2012. And they measured this by campaigns showing very large business effects. And the business effects are sales, profits, market share, penetration, price sensitivity. So campaigns have been showing fewer of these very large business effects since 2012. And the reason that Les and Peter gave for that is short-termism, that we as an industry are becoming too short-term in our thinking and in our measuring. So we thought, okay, let's do some research to look into this. So we did 2 pieces of research. The first one was called profitability, where we wanted to make the business case for advertising so that advertising is seen as an investment and not a cost. And it was a big meta-analysis looking at how different media drive profit for brands. And then the second piece of research, the one I'm going to share with you now, was looking at the behavioral science behind what drives brand preference. So just one finding from the profitability study, and that is that 58% of all profit is generated in the long term. And by the long term, I mean 3 months after the campaign's finished. So if you're only measuring and monitoring your campaign within a 3-month period of its finishing, you're missing out on 58% of the total impact of that campaign. So looking at behavioral science and how that can help us understand why brands are so important, because to have a long-term effect, there's got to be something to do with the brand and people's loyalty to and choosing those brands. And behavioral science comes in kind of 3 pillars. The first one is about the fact that most of our decisions are subconscious. It's system 1 thinking. We make very fast decisions about our purchasing. We use our gut instinct and we choose and make quick decisions on the things we're going to buy. The second pillar is all to do with context, and we're heavily influenced by context, particularly things like anchors. So I'll give you an example of an anchor. So 100 people were asked the question, how many calories are there in an apple? Is it more or less than 50? The average answer that those people gave was 74. Another 100 people were asked the question, how many calories are there in an apple? Is it more or less than 150? And the average answer that those people gave was 113. So 50 and 150, completely irrelevant, meaningless numbers, but we can't help but use them as an anchor. So we use that as a starting point and then work towards what we think the answer is. An anchor is used a lot in retail and shopping environments. And the third pillar is about cognitive biases. And as human beings, we can't help but be influenced by cognitive biases. A guy called Richard Shotton has written a book called The Choice Factory. He says there are 25 cognitive biases that influence us and influence our purchasing. So things like herding. We like to follow the crowd and do what other people do. Also the scarcity bias. If we think something's about to run out, it makes us want to buy it. And TV advertising can help us leverage those cognitive biases by creating repetition. The more we see something, the more we like it, becomes familiar. But also recency, the recency effect. We place more importance on the things that we've seen recently. And finally, social norms. We tend to imitate people and copy, and so advertising helps to show how products are used and also to normalize products. So in this study, we wanted to find out what roles do brands play in our lives? Why do they matter to us? So we got 20 people involved, and they had to be a fan of at least one brand. And then we used what behavioral scientists call behavioral disruption. So we took away people's favorite brands and replaced them with the de-branded items. For the household items, that was fairly straightforward. When it came to people's cars, you can't really give someone a de-branded car, so we just made them put stickers and cover up all the branding of their cars. And also with retail, it's quite difficult, so we just made people shop in different stores. So the findings of this study come in a series of videos. And in this first video, you'll see how brands add color to our lives, and they influence our product experience. So before we started the experiment, we asked people to show us around your house, take us around your house, show us the brands that you use currently, and talk a bit about them. So that's what you'll see in this first video.
I know that if any meal is dull, that it will jazz it up a bit. And I guess, yeah, again, the taste is familiar. It's one that I've had for ages and ages, since I was a child.
I had the Volkswagen Golf GTI, the proper one, the Mark II one. And mine was a factory special with the kit on and everything, yeah? And this was in the days when you know, I went to college in this car, doing my A-levels. Nobody had a GTI badge then. And it was a big thing. And, you know, for anyone who didn't know me, knew that I was that kid with the GTI.
There's two things I do with my Yorkshire tea, a creature of habit here. So I rip the lid off so I can get straight in, and I separate it so they're all in single bags. Yorkshireman and tea are kind of connected. You know, you always think of like, let's have a proper brew and all that stuff, which is their tagline here. But that you can hear Yorkshiremen say it. You know, you can look at that packet and you can even see what the bloke looks like who's selling this packet to you. It's Yorkshire on the back. It's got that proper brew stuff. It just says everything you need to know about tea.
It's a very, very, very popular car. You go onto Auto Trader and, you know, the list of BMWs is because people obviously love it.
Oh, God, yeah, I really do this. I actually do. Just walk around Lidl going, yeah, I'll have that, I'll have this.
You just don't know what you're going to get in there. Like, I've gone into Aldi and there's been a bollard. You know, just a full-on, heavy-duty bollard. Now, I don't need a bollard, but it's nice to know that if I ever needed a bollard, it's there. And
the infamous door slams that you get with VWs.
Yeah, right.
There's that chunky thud. And the best advert I ever saw for one of those was, I think it was advertising the Golf, where there were sort of clips of people selling other small hatchbacks, and their taglines were always, it's just like the Golf, right? But listen to that. See when I opened it? There's something solid that's happened, closed, safely, securely, you know. And because it's not Italian, that hasn't fallen off.
So already at the surface level, we've started to see how the brand proposition has manifested itself in our thoughts and feelings about what that product represents, and also how advertising plays a part in that. So in the next video, you'll see what happens when we took people's brands away. And what you'll see is quite a lot of apprehension. They don't know what it is. They don't trust it. They're just not certain about it at all without the branding. And also what I'll tell you, but we didn't tell them, was that all the brands are exactly the same. So we took their favorite brands, we just sent them back in a de-branded packet, but they were exactly the same products. And what you'll see is that the uncertainty that they feel manifests itself physically. And because your brain is such an important part of the process, if your brain is telling you this is different, it's a different product, it actually starts to smell, taste, feel different. So I'll show you this video.
So I've got my box with all my products. I'm not excited to use them all really, because although it's things that I use every day, there's less to engage with. It's got less personality. So it'll be interesting to see how it feels to actually replace my usual things with these instead.
It smells. See, it doesn't smell like Listerine either, because it hasn't got that kind of, that can blow your nose off smell. Doesn't hurt. Listerine hurts. This tingles.
Not sure what I think about that. Don't know if it is strong enough.
I don't look at it and think, that's my tea. I'm just looking at it and thinking, that is tea, rather than my tea that I recognise.
But again, I kind of miss that comfort of having the yellow bottle with the same bottle with the yellow lid and all that. Even though it tastes very similar, there's still like some, I don't know, perhaps something missing from the experience here.
Trying the water from the box. First thoughts are, I don't really trust it because I don't know what's in it. I sort of recognise the shape of the bottle as being from a cheaper brand, so instantly don't feel the same as well when I usually use my own brand, or my usual brand. I mean, obviously it's water and I'm going to need to drink water, and I know I'm going to drink water, but there's definitely something lacking in the experience from my usual experience.
I didn't really want to do either of the tasks, to be honest. Kind of like, I would know that it was a BMW from the outside, a debranded BMW, so to speak, but other people might not. So yeah, in a lot of ways you kind of lose that. I don't know if it's a wow factor, but you kind of lose that when people are looking at you, they think, I don't know what car that is.
So I have just done a wash with the fabric conditioner that I was given, and I can see that I've just taken out the washing and there's barely any smell on the washing at all, which is really disappointing. Definitely a big difference in the one that I currently use and the one that I've just used, and I definitely wouldn't use that one again. The scent wasn't strong enough for me.
When I use the Head and Shoulders, what's happening then is they get this sort of squeaky clean noise, like when you clean the glass with a squeegee, and that, God, look at that, and that makes that noise that's clean, and that tells you that it's really clean. Right, this doesn't quite do that, so I don't know why, but I have been using it, and like I said, I'm not overly convinced. I can't really wait to go back to my Head and Shoulders. If you revealed the brand to me, would I change? No.
It's a bit different from my own shampoo, dry shampoo. When I was spraying it, it was like really cold on my scalp, and yeah, it was just really cold compared to my usual one. It wasn't as powdery, and I don't think it was as effective as my current one.
So I'm still drinking my water. At this point I'm getting a bit annoyed, just because I don't know what's in it and I don't know what water it is.
It seems to me that it smelled different and it stung my eyes more. The stuff you gave me. Don't take my Head and Shoulders away. I like my Head and Shoulders. Bring it back immediately.
I did feel that I missed an aspect of the brands that I know. I guess it's like missing a friend in a way, because once you've got to know something, then you have a connection with it, and I felt like I didn't really have a connection with the new things because there wasn't a lot to connect with.
Hello, hi there. I really want to go to Aldi, but I'm not going to go. I've just been to Asda and I've been to Lidl again. Some of the products are alright. The broccolis are big. I'll give Lidl that. The broccolis are very big. But on the whole, I just want to go back to Aldi, to be honest. When can I go back to Aldi?
So you can see that by taking the brands away, it starts to surface people's relationship with those brands. And in the research, there were 3 themes that came out, that brands provide a sense of connection, stability, and of identity. So let's just have a look at those 3. Firstly, connection.
Obviously for me, when I reached for that bottle of ketchup with that logo on it, that there's something else happening other than just I'm putting red sauce with my beige food. Probably for me personally, it's the memories of it as well, because that label's been in. It was in my grandparents were married for 50 odd years. It was in their cupboard the whole time. It's always been in my cupboard at home.
I remember like having Marmite with my family and stuff like that, and we used to go to my grand's and they always used to have a big thing of Marmite, like a massive pot, and yeah, I just remember things like that. This week where I've been, you know, thinking about it, you know, every time I use the blue one, it's kind of like, well, how am I feeling about it? Well, not as good as when I have the yellow lid.
Back then, because people always used to come in and the first thing they would say is, all I can smell is your fabric conditioner. And it's just like, it's a family smell, it's like a homely smell. To me, it says about me that I'm like clean, I'm quite homely, like I like to keep things neat and tidy. Like I think it's nice that if I walk past someone, they either get a whiff of my perfume or like my clothes or whatever, and it's just nice and it's not a bad smell. Because there's obviously nothing worse than someone that smells.
It's the VW brand, it's German, they're efficient, it's quality. You've got the sense of mind that you will be safe. So Dad feels in a way safe. He knows that I'm not driving around a death trap. Not only does he trust me, he trusts the car to not just break down in the middle of nowhere or fall to pieces. I got the message of that advert when he was starting to blowing up. The girls at armbands went in the pool, and then after that you got the sun cream and putting the helmet on, and then the music comes in. Oh, like look after you, take care of you, and I feel like that's the message that VW is sending.
Head and Shoulders. I've used Head and Shoulders for many years. Looking at me now, you wouldn't imagine that in the 70s and 80s I had hair down here, very long hair, and played in the band, and wore tight jeans, went to art school, all that sort of stuff. And the most important thing to me in those days was having beer, smoking cigarettes, and meeting young ladies. And the one thing you don't want to have when you want to meet young ladies is dandruff. So to look after my luxuriant hair, I always use Head and Shoulders. It was a distant echo of the Lothario I once was every time I used Head and Shoulders.
So you see that brands provide a connection with our core values, the things that really matter to us, and also a connection to our personal history, our past, our family. Also, the more connections we have with a brand, it drives mental availability, so that when you are in a shopping environment, you're more likely to choose that brand. The second theme was all about brands providing stability.
I mean, I think in the modern world, everything's moving really quickly. We're also less connected with people, and less connected with our family, and I think that's another reason that I'm probably gripping on to things that do remind me of my family. It's because I don't live near them anymore, or I don't get to see them every day. And I think maybe that's something, we have less constant people in our lives because of the way the modern world is. So maybe that's why we sort of do hold those attachments a little bit stronger to things that remind us of them.
It feels heartening, kind of warming, you know. It's something that you hope is always going to be there.
Everyone must have something in life he can rely on.
It's a classic. Absolute classic. He's lost £1 million at the casino. His woman's run off. You know, ordinarily this is the start of a great blues song. He hasn't made the right investments, you know, but he's still okay, and he's got the one constant in his life which isn't going to let him down. It's his Volkswagen Golf.
If you go to someone's house, I feel like you do expect to see a branded ketchup. I feel like if you put that one out and the Heinz one out, don't think that one will be touched. People go for things they know, and if they don't know it, they'll try and stay clear of it unless they have to be forced to use it, I feel.
So if we just go and compare the market, and we just want you to imagine that you want to find some new insurance.
I wouldn't go with them for insurance because I don't know them.
Who?
E&L. And I wouldn't go with Paws and Claws. I always look for an insurance company I know that's been around a while, but if you're dealing with a car or a house, it's a property. But if you're dealing with a pet, it's their life.
So brands give us that stability. We dislike change. We like our products to stay the same. And at a subconscious level, brands give you that feeling of permanence, familiarity, comfort, and things staying the same. And then the final theme that came through was about identity.
Nike's just everywhere. They've got a lot of ambassadors. footballers, basketballers. Okay, so if you've got night clothing on, you look sporty, you look in the part, you look ready to play, whereas if I just turn up in this, people perceive you differently. You put on a Nike outfit and then you're going out to play the role of a footballer. If you turn up in an all Nike outfit, no one's going to question your ability in a way, I feel, of sport. You've got the right attire, like, I'm going to look good, I look the part, I'm always going to play well. I feel like you go out there with a mentality that you're going to win. So I do feel like Nike is associated with winning and being a champion as well, I feel.
Head and Shoulders, and I like it so much, I've already lined up the next ones for when I run out. Look at that. Fucking good is that? Organised or what? It's got this sort of squeaky clean finish when I run my fingers through.
Does the Head and Shoulders help with the man?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. After I've washed with that and combed my hair, it's bang on Don Draper. Head and Shoulders is for real men who just want to get the job done and then not look at themselves in the mirror constantly or fiddle about with their hair.
There's just Costa everywhere, Costrix. I probably wasn't as aware of it before. It is for everyone, of all ages, colours, creeds. I'm an inclusive person. I like to be sincere and honest in personal life, and I can see it feels like they have the same moral values of me.
The brand awareness that BMW is just a premium car, the best car. He even said they're the most innovative car in its class. I'm using the same language that they use.
So you can see that there's a priming effect going on. That guy talking about Nike, if you wear Nike clothing, other people will see you as being, more sporty. But it also has an inward priming. It makes you feel more sporty if you're wearing Nike gear. And also it's about anchoring into your moral values. That guy talking about Costa, he felt Costa was an inclusive brand and he's an inclusive person, so it's tying in with the moral values. So that's essentially it. So just 3 things to remember. That 58% of all advertising generated profit occurs in the long term, so it's important to measure it and consider it. And that the majority of brand impact is subconscious. We're not aware of it, but advertising helps shape our perceptions and our experience, and brands really do matter. And I'm just going to play you one last video where we reveal to people about the fact that the brands were the same.
Well, they aren't the same, are they?
All these teas we gave you were Twinings, actually.
Really?
And what we did is we took the tea leaves out and we put them in a different bag.
Really? So that was just normal Twinings mint tea? Bloody hell. That's just unbelievable. That's just totally crazy. I'm going to pinch myself and wake up in a minute. That's mad.
You're kidding? Really? I'm really shocked. I am so shocked. That does not taste like Yorkshire tea. I would swear on my life that wasn't Yorkshire tea. I even gave it to other members of the family and said, what do you think they would go? They all went. It doesn't taste of anything. Is it decaffeinated? No. You're kidding. Oh, I'm amazed. I'm absolutely amazed.
What does that make you think of then, now that I tell you that they are actually fundamentally the same things?
Slightly tricked. I had a sneaking suspicion, but, because like I said with the butter, I couldn't quite put my finger on it, but I thought, this can't be the same thing, because, if I take the other one out and put it next to each other, it doesn't look the same for some reason. And maybe that, and I'm thinking now, now I know, it's the trick of just packaging.
Obviously, just the fact you're taking out the, out the actual branding and the yellow pot and all that, that is... It's weird what it does, how much of a part of the product is its branding and the way it looks and, what memories it's, connotations, everything like that. Very, very strange.
But I did think that the Lenore just didn't, the Lenore this time just didn't stick to it. That is so strange. And then the hair thing, that's weird that it comes out colder. So they're the exact same product. That's so weird. So it's obviously just a mental thing.
The stuff we gave you was, it was Evian and it was ketchup.
I was like, what's in this water?
What do you find surprising about that then? The fact that it's the same stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it just highlights that I was missing the branding of it more than anything else. So I was missing the face rather than the body.
Dziękuję.